Alright, I've just finished solving my inventory/equipment problem again, and I will pick up where we left off, driving the Mako around in a cold frozen wasteland. In today's episode, I'm going to take a little break from talking about all the different alien races, and we're going to talk a little bit about the technology and such. Oh wait, I'm going to turn my keyboard on. That's why I'm not driving. Okay, bloopers aside. Since this is a science fiction game, we're going to talk about one of the very most science fiction topics. And that would be, as the little blue man says in the Lego movie, spaceships. So what better spaceship to discuss than the beloved SSV Normandy. And my aim here is to discuss this, from what I know of and or can, obtain information spec-wise from the Mass Effect wiki as compared to real spaceships and what would be best for real life actual use. That was a long shot. He's got a tiny window there, and he took that target. So I'm going to start with one of the most science fiction of, the most fiction of science fiction cliches is FTL, faster than light. The speed of light is roughly 300 million, or is it 300,000? It's 300 million meters per second. That is the galactic speed limit. You cannot exceed the speed of light. End of story. Full stop. That wasn't actually a turret I shot at, but I tried. So, at least with our known understanding of physics, you can't exceed the speed of light. It's just not possible. The closer and closer, because of the way the E equals mc squared formula works, the faster you're moving, the more energy you have, right? So E is energy, M is mass, C is the speed of light. Or something like that. Don't laugh at me. Anyway, my point is, the faster you're moving, the more energy you have, the more relative mass you have. Therefore, the more power it takes to continue accelerating. And once you get close to the speed of light, you start having to worry about relativistic speeds. 10%, 12%. The amount of energy it takes
on my way
to go from 95% of the speed of light to 96% of the speed of light is huge. It's obscene. And then if you get to 96%, it's, again, squared that much more obscene, huge amounts of energy to get to 97% of speed of light. It's just not possible, because there's no such thing as infinity. And, once you get to 99.9% of the speed of light, you're going to get, you'll be at the point where you'll need infinitely more energy to get to 99.99% of the speed of light. And you can just keep tacking on nines there. And you'll never actually get through the speed of light. Oops, it's not the way. Garrus helps out.
Something's in the way.
Oh, no wonder. Garrus is locked on the other side of the door. Of course. This is Garrus not being able to open doors. Headshot. Now is the door open? Nope. Come on, Liara. Girls have to do this without Garrus. Alright.
User alert. All Peak 15 facilities have suffered a great deal of damage.
Garrus.
Biohazard materials present throughout facility. Virtual intelligence user.
Oh, and now that door's
offline.
shut. Garrus is stuck behind 2 doors.
We'll need to get the reactors back online.
Okay, I'm glad that one opened. Now this one can open. Come on, Garrus. Let's go, buddy. Thank you. Okay, back to the rant. He can't actually get to or exceed the speed of light. And there's some theoretical ideas around it, you know, universes, or, you know, alternate universes, kind of like the warp in Warhammer 40k, or the warp drive in Star Trek, that kind of stuff. Supposedly, Garrus, quit playing with the door. Come on. Supposedly, in the Mass Effect universe, we have this magical thing called Element Zero, which, when an electrical field is applied, it creates a field around, you know, within a physical distance of the atoms of Element Zero, where mass is altered. Supposedly that's how the Asari have biotics.
Element Zero always makes me think of Chemical X. To make the perfect little girls.
I have no idea what Chemical X is.
Powerpuff Girls.
I'm not going to think about that.
Why are the turrets facing the wrong way?
They want to keep their people in as much as they want to keep others out.
Anyway. So Element Zero affects, within a distance, the mass of objects nearby. Depending on the polarity, you either increase or decrease relative mass. So, supposedly, that's how they get around the galactic speed limit. Is you have a whole lot of Element Zero and a whole lot of electricity pumped through it. And this decreases relative mass so that you can go faster with the same amount of energy. But I'd like to point out that it's not the same amount of energy, because you're also expending energy to electrify all this Element Zero. Woo! Way to run in there, Garrus. I wish you the best of luck, you crazy Turian. Don't scare him, you terrible spiky monster. I'm sure robots feel fear. Hello. Bam! It's Spooky noises. What's going on?
What was that?
Animals.
I like how I'm still holding the pistol, but now Liara has a rifle, even though she was also holding a pistol. Alright, I know we give Turians crap for being horrible spiky monsters. Ragni are horrible spiky monsters. Alright, let's see if the neural shock does anything. A little bit. Not as much as I want. Which seems to be the trend with horrible spiky monsters. Oh, look, another one. It's alright. Shot you in the knee, Garrus. It's alright. You have metal skin. You'll be fine.
Perimeter secured.
Is it, Liara? Is it? That thing just came out of the vent. They're in the ceiling, man. It's inside the room. You can't be that close. It's inside the room. Sorry. It's an Aliens reference. So I'd like to point out that even with this magical element 0, you still can't go faster than the speed of light. Because you just can't. Like, that's not how physics works. If, you know, the mass of your ship is reduced to 5 kilograms, sure, it's going to be much easier to accelerate that 5 kilograms with, you know, the powerful ship engines. Ooh, what? What, your powerful ship engines and your instantaneous acceleration doesn't get you to the speed of light. It might get you to a significant fraction of the speed of light faster. But mathematically speaking, it requires infinite energy to actually go light speed. Whether you're accelerating 5 kilograms, 500 kilograms, or 500,000. It's still going to take infinite energy. Okay, Garrus. We get it. I'll open the door. You do that again.
A backup power system, Commander. It must be from the station command.
The damage is not extensive. It could be repaired.
I don't like those sounds. So, first of all, let me say that, well, cool, and as groundbreaking and world-changing as the discovery of Element 0 would be, it still wouldn't let us go at or over the speed of light. So, point 1, that's dumb. Can't do that. Point 2. Well, we're talking about the Normandy. The Normandy appears to have artificial gravity.
Critical startup error. Virtual intelligence user interface offline. Manual boot required.
Sorry. Trying to remember which door to push. I know there's a way to... There we go. So, you can't have artificial gravity. At least that we understand. You know, there's a couple of ways to make, you know, gravity. One would be apparent. You would feel like you were under gravity if you were at 1 g of acceleration, which would be a constant 9.8 meters per second. Per second? Which is a thing that can be done. But then you have to be constantly accelerating in order to have this feeling of gravity. And we've all been in or seen me walk in and out of the Normandy. The Normandy's not shaped that way. It accelerates forward. Like the floor, the bottom of the ship is the floor. So if you're accelerating at 1G in a ship shaped like the Normandy, where the engines are behind you, you would be pinned to the wall behind you. So if you're going to have artificial gravity by a sustained 1G acceleration, excuse me, this is a yawn. If you're going to have artificial gravity by a sustained 1G acceleration, I gotta figure out the controls to do this. Hey, I didn't want to exit. Enter. Grr. It's been a while since I've done this. I know it's fairly simple. It's not one. Screw it. I don't have time for this. Spend the Omni Gel. I've never actually done that before. Anyway. So,
Looks like you're trying to
if you were
destroy
going
this
to build a
facility.
ship,
Would you like help?
How do I shut this thing up?
This system is monitored to respond to the name Mira. May I ask your name?
What do you need to know?
To determine the data access available to you. Basic access is limited to non-secure queries. Secure access allows most system functions. Privileged access is available only to executives of Binary Helix.
Commander Shepard, I work for the Citadel's Special Tactics and Reconnaissance.
One moment, please. Council authority confirmed. You are entitled to secure access of all systems. Please note that queries relating to corporate secrets require privileged access. Privileged access is only available to Binary Helix executives. This system is ready to process queries. You may access me at any holographic interface within Peak 15.
I know it's virtual, but I'm virtually frustrated with this.
I need to find Matriarch
So-
Benezia.
Lady Benezia departed on the passenger tramway to the Rift Station subsidiary labs. User alert. The tramway system is currently inoperable.
What's the situation here?
One moment, please. Diagnostics in progress. Critical failure. Main reactor shutdown
I
in
know
accordance
this.
with emergency containment procedures. Manual restart required. Critical failure. Landline connections are disabled. Passenger tram systems are offline. Report complete. Do you have an additional system status query?
That's all I need right now.
Nope. Let's
Very
go
well,
fix the
Commander.
stuff.
Logging you out. User alert. Main reactor shut down in accordance with emergency containment procedures.
Yeah.
Manual restart required.
I'm going to start the reactor after a save, because there's Geth and that fight sucks. So, before I was
User
interrupted by a
alert.
pop-up.
Landline connections are disabled. Passenger trams are offline.
After that interruption, if you were going to simulate gravity with a sustained 1G acceleration, you would need the engines to be beneath you, under your feet, and you would continue to accelerate upward, rather than, as the Normandy is designed, with the engines behind you, continually accelerating forward. So what I would assume is that they have some sort of plating on the floor with Mass Effect fields, that they run
User
an electric
alert.
current through.
Main reactor shut down in accordance with emergency containment procedures.
We know.
Manual restart required. User alert.
How many times is it going to say that?
Charging up.
first aid. I don't know why it keeps happening. Alright, let's go. You guys shoot the things. We are. Rockets. Oh, it's not a rocket troop, it's a big blue juggernaut. Oh, and they got Liara. I told you this fight was nasty.
User
It's dead
alert.
anyway.
Landline connections are disabled. Passenger trams are offline.
Okay. So, before Liara almost died, and we had this nasty fight, saying, I would assume that they have this fancy, Mass Effect technology that, oh look, there we go. But there'd be some sort of Mass Effect plating.
Main reactor shut down in accordance with emergency containment procedures. Manual restart required.
I'm just gonna mute the game so I can
User
talk.
alert. Landline connections are disabled. Passenger
See?
trams are offline.
Opening fuel lines. Now, if they have element 0 infused plating on the floor and you can run an electrical current through it, that would increase relative mass. And as we know, mass is what causes gravity. So, you could, and it wouldn't necessarily, I don't know how strongly
User alert.
you can
Landline
make
connections are disabled.
Mass Effect
Passenger
fields
trams
with what
are
size,
offline.
physical size, volume of the element 0 in question. But you could at least get a significant enough portion of gravity that you could walk around fairly normally and eat and not have your fork float away because you forgot to keep holding it and you tried to set it down on the table, and so on and so forth. But that wouldn't necessarily work either, because the plating's on the floor, so that down is down and up is up, and you can walk on the floor.
Passenger trams are offline.
And we don't know how far that Mass Effect field extends upward. If it only goes up to your knees, then sure, your feet are experiencing 0.6 gravity, arbitrarily, and then you can walk around. But you would have such, vomit-inducing vertigo if that was the case, because, theoretically you could walk normally, but only your feet. Like, your head wouldn't have any sensation of gravity, and it's in your ears where you have all the liquids inside the inner ear, and the inertia of those liquids basically serves as gyroscopes, and that's what gives you your sense of balance. And if those aren't being affected by gravity, but your feet are, that's gonna mess with your head. Literally. I pun not intended, but now that I've realized it's a pun intended. So that's not an option. But if you have, these same kinds of Mass Effect plates, the element 0 infused plating on the walls or the roof, and you're running a current through those, that's not going to work either. Because now, if you've got 0.6 gravity on the wall, you're not going to be walking on the floor. You're going to get stuck to the wall.
User alert.
or
Land-
the ceiling. You have to be able to evenly distribute the sensation of gravity across the whole 6-7 foot spectrum above the floor. And that kind of leads me to my next point.
User alert. Landline connections are disabled. Passenger trams are
This thing needs to
offline.
shut up. Where's the captain from Halo? Give me that chip. I'm gonna yank her chip.
Now exiting to the roof. User alert. Landline connections are disabled. Passenger trams are offline.
We know. Another method to simulate gravity is by spinning. If you,
User alert. Landline
like a centrifuge, you spin a wheel
offline.
or you spin the chamber, and you can walk/stand. Thank you, Garrus. On the outer edge. Should you get back up? Okay. Wasn't sure if I needed to hit the Unity button. If it wasn't for the aliens trying to kill us, that'd be pretty easy. Okay. But, obviously, the Normandy is not a centrifuge. It's not a circle. It's not a pendulum on the end of a string spinning around the center point. So they're not generating artificial gravity that way either. So, how? Why is there gravity on the Normandy? Why are you walking on the floor instead of, floating around and such? The other sci-fi stuff. Energy shields, or as Mass Effect calls them technically, barriers. This is also explained by Element 0. Alright, the thing's open. We can go. I'm going to save again, just so I don't die on the roof again, if whatever else ahead kills me again. So, I mean, even as individuals, our armor suits have barriers. Well, so does the Normandy.
Loose contaminants in the decontamination chamber. Access to passenger tramways inadvisable.
Oh, God, I can't wait to get out of this area so the robot stops talking.
The door.
Control group, loosen them. They're in. Can't escape. The tunnels now. We're sorry. The leads couldn't get to the struck. Out while you can.
I'll try this manual bypass. It's not a nice one.
He killed himself because he was part of whatever happened here.
That's it? No further talking? Okay, there we go.
Of surviving, but killing himself would be easier.
Alright. Let's try this bypass again, because we know I'm not good at them. Ah! Best way to deal with aliens. Nuke the site from orbit. It just insta-kills Liara. So much for... Come on. Get up.
It's nothing serious.
No, you were just knocked unconscious by crazy aliens. Sorry. Barriers. Supposedly, these barriers work by, Garrus, don't shoot me. These barriers work by element 0, and it generates a mass effect field to deflect projectiles. Anything over X number of velocity / kinetic energy coefficient. And that's how, I can sit on this chair without pushing the chair away from me with my barrier. But it stops bullets. But, at least to my understanding, that's not how element 0 works. Remember, as I said, it either increases or decreases relative mass. So I could understand, pumping a high enough electrical current in order to decrease relative mass. And without the mass, regardless of velocity, these incoming projectiles aren't going to have enough kinetic energy to hurt you. And then that's why they're still wearing, actual metal, plastic, Kevlar-looking armor plating. Or 2 layers in Garrus's case, because he has metal in his skin. Because, some things would be of sufficient mass to exceed the barrier's ability to reduce the mass and therefore reduce the kinetic energy. But, no. According to the Mass Effect Wiki, that's not how it works. As I originally stated, the Mass Effect field generated by the element 0 is used to deflect the incoming projectiles. However it does that. Doesn't make sense to me. But that's their science thing. Oh look, people. Let's point guns at each other.
Stand down.
Or not. There's another boring talking bit. Can I walk past him?
Sorry, we couldn't be sure what was on the tram.
Can those things work at range controls?
Hell if I know. I'm not assuming any goddamn thing. Look, you're human and that's enough that I won't shoot. I'd like to know who you are.
My name's Shepard. I'm a Spectre.
Huh. I won't look a heavily armed horse in the mouth. The aliens overran the hot labs last week. Only Han Olar got out, and he ain't all there anymore. First we knew the bastards were clawing into my command post. We had a lot more staff then.
We've never seen anything like them. What do you know?
I'm no xenobiologist. They're fast, vicious, and there's a hell of a lot of them. The board sent an Asari to clean up the mess. She went to the hot labs yesterday. We haven't heard from her since.
Venezia. Is she still over there?
I don't know. I don't see what one person could do.
A matriarch has the skill to keep herself alive for a long time.
There's an emergency elevator out by the trams. This card will let you activate it. It can take you down to the hot labs.
Oh, if you need any first aid, Dr. Cohen's downstairs in the med bay.
You're certain the matriarch is still in the hot labs?
She hasn't come back here. You came through Central Station, so she ain't there.
I've got work to do.
Yeah, I hear that. Hell! Man the perimeter!
Shoot it, Garrus. The Rachni, that's what Turians do. They kill Rachni. Actually, they don't. As I discussed in one of my previous episodes, the Rachni invasion occurred before the Turians joined Citadel Council. And that's why the Solarians uplifted the Krogan to fight the Rachni. And then the Turians joined to quell the Krogan rebellion. Anyway, let's level up and then I'll save. So the shields can't work the way they supposedly work, but they do. It's a thing. It's a game. And so, my example of, talking about the armor we're wearing, the same thing applies to the Normandy and spaceships in general. Well, I should have thrown one into Charm. Oh well. I'll use that more often anyway. Now we can save. So, the barriers, energy shields, whatever you want to call it, for the Normandy and spaceships in general will work the same way, just on a larger, more powerful scale. And if they did work this way, if you have barriers that can magically repel, deflect, / negate bullets, projectiles, so on, why would... I don't see how that would be a problem. Everyone's just going to use lasers. And they're going to burn you. And then you don't have to worry about bullets at all. Because, this element 0 and its ability to affect relative mass only applies to things that have mass. Like kinetic projectiles. But not photons. Lasers. So, there's another stupid hole. Hey, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Mass Effect. It's a fantastic game. I love it. I'm here playing it. I could do the same kind of, picking apart the science with Star Wars, for example. Everybody loves Star Wars. They get so much stuff wrong. Don't get me started on lightsabers. Since I'm supposed to be talking about the Normandy, it's a warship. It obviously has weapons. But according to the Mass Effect Wiki, there are no mention of the specific weapons. They don't tell us what it has. In the later games, stuff happens. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to finish that sentence because spoilers.
How are you holding up?
You must listen to me. If we do not contain our mistake, they will drop bombs from the battle stations. You understand?
Wait, is there an Asari matriarch here?
Sorry? I have not seen one.
She is safe then, at Rift Station.
This is not important. You must be listening. Binary Helix found an egg. It was on a derelict ship, thousands of years drifting. This was Rachni's ship. Inside they find many eggs in cryogenic suspension.
They brought it here to wake it up?
Binary Helix planned to clone Rachni, mass-produce them, create an army. But when they get here, they find this egg is not a common Rachni. It is a queen. After she lays eggs, they move her to Rift Station. They are thinking that without her, they can raise the babies to be obedient.
Obviously they were wrong.
This was exactly the wrong thing to do. I am thinking that without a queen, Rachni do not develop properly. Her mind is shaping theirs. These Rachni are uncontrollable.
This is fascinating, but we don't have time to chat.
These Rachni are beyond saving. It is a sad thing, but they must be euthanized. I am thinking that the neutron purge must be set off.
I'm not familiar with the purge system.
It creates bursts of neutron radiation. Kills everything within the station. Things beyond get genetic damage of varying degree.
How do we set off the purge?
Arming controls are nearby. All you do is insert the key. Then I will give Mira the start.
I remember first time watching that, and I was, oh dang. Granted, I was much younger, and this was on an old Xbox. But still, I mean, it's brutal. So, the Normandy has weapons, but we don't know what they are. There's the thing. We have multiple races
Connected.
on board
I
the
have full
ship.
access to the
You know,
facility
obviously,
and am at your
humans,
disposal.
Turians, Quarian, Asari, Krogan, Solarians, all just in this game. Not to mention all the other stuff later, no spoilers. So, it wouldn't be that hard to do, you know, within a realm of comfort, but, you know, because all of these different races are going to have come from different planets, they're going to be used to potentially different mixtures of air, different gravity, different ambient temperatures, and that is a thing that you would have to account for. You know, if Garrus back there, the Turian, is from a hotter planet than humans, and, you know, ambient temperature has to stay at 90, that's going to suck, but, I mean, it's a thing. You can do that. You're just going to have everybody walk around in their shorts, which isn't the case, obviously. Nobody's running around on the Normandy in shorts. And I feel like that is a potentially significant but small enough detail
Activate the neutron purge.
that
I'm sorry, but I can't do that without proper code
is overlooked, and I don't blame
Code
them
input 875020079.
for overlooking that. It's
Code
a
Omega
thing.
local execution.
Verified. Code Omega X.
Look, I don't hold it against them for forgetting that, or not including that, or not mentioning it, or having some tidbit of lore somewhere for that. But had they included that, Garrus is just instantly dead. Come on, Garrus, you have to get up. How many unity you? We have to get out of here. Or not. I was gonna hit the metagel thing. I would have given them huge props had they included that bit of information, but I don't hold it against them for forgetting it. Or not. The reactor is referred to as a Tantalus drive core, which supposedly has a system that provides propulsion without generating thrust, because they make these magical Mass Effect fields in front of the ship, and the ship falls into it. But, as I explained with the barriers, that's not how the Mass Effect fields work. What is B? There we go. That's not what I wanted. Unity again. Here we are, back up here. Alright. It's cleared. We can get out of here. Anyway. The Mass Effect field, you know, affects relative mass. It does not... Like, you can't... It's not a thing. It doesn't... Mass... Physics doesn't work that way. You can't create a low mass zone in front of the ship and then have the ship fall into it. That might work if you were already, you know, in, you know, say, low Earth orbit, or on Earth, or any other planet, you know, something with mass. But if you're in space, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a vacuum, but I will call it a void. It's almost a vacuum out there, and there's not going to be any mass to apply the Mass Effect field to generate that effect, to cause that happening. So, that system, method, that's also dumb. It's a cool idea, but it's not how physics works. You know, it does have actual engines, not just necessarily this Tantalus drive, as we're shown in the various, you know, clips and videos and whatnot of it flying around and doing maneuvers and stuff. Flying much like an airplane would fly.
I'm sorry about this, Shepard. We've got orders from Venezia. Open fire!
All the furniture around. Jerks. Right. Screw the pistol. I know I'm not supposed to be using it, but why haven't I been using this gun the whole time? It slaps. If Jerome doesn't want to fight, we'll do it this way. So despite having, you know, these normalish looking engines, in addition to this, you know, Tantalus drive core, there's no mention of fuel specifically that it uses. I know earlier Garrus referenced something about a helium-3, so I guess that's a thing, and we could assume that the engines and or reactor or whatever runs on helium-3. Lastly, I want to talk about stealth. The Normandy is a cliche stealth ship. It seems like all science fiction franchises insist on having a stealth ship. When you're in space, there's no such thing as stealth. Can't do it. Doesn't work that way. It's explained, per the lore, that there are lithium heat sinks that all of the heat gets shunted into so that there's nothing to detect. But you're gonna admit lots of things besides heat. You know, you can't stop radio signals. I mean, sure, you could build the whole hull as a Faraday cage, and so on, what have you. But that works in multiple ways, multiple directions. It's not just radio signals, you also have to deal with various kinds of radiation, and if you're running a reactor or a Tantalus drive core, that's going to make radiation, and there's no way to not have radiation. And, you know, if you have technology to do such a thing, like shunt heat into lithium, which, at least, like, I haven't done any research, I don't know if it works that way, but from my understanding, they use lithium to make batteries. Batteries store electricity, not heat, so I don't know how they're shunting heat for a couple hours at a time into lithium storage cells. like how that other guy just fell and ceased to exist. I know what room that is, so before we go there, let's save the game. So, anyways, technology. Lithium stores electricity, not heat. And if you have the technology to build a thing, it's usually easier to detect the thing. So I would assume anyone of nearly equal, if not equal or superior technology levels could detect whatever thing you've built to hide your stealth ship. You know, let's use submarines for an example. Lots of ships can't detect submarines because they're below the water. So then we have sonar. Okay? I mean, sure, you build quiet submarines, but an active sonar search is still going to bounce back signals, because, like, it's a physical thing. Sonar sound waves bounce off solid objects. That's how sonar works. It's the same way radar works, or LiDAR, or anything like that. You can't hide a physical object in space. The only way you can have a stealth ship, the only way you can hide a spaceship, is by hiding it behind a thing, like an asteroid or a planet. And even then, it's only going to work when the asteroid or the planet or the thing you're hiding behind is between you and the person you're hiding from. So, that seems a silly thing to me. And alright, let's get this big fight over with. We all know what's going to happen here. I've got one more yakking point to go on about. So I'll do that while we're fighting.
You do not know the privilege of being a mother. There is power in creation. To shape a life, turn it toward happiness or despair. Her children were to be ours, raised to hunt and slay Saren's enemies. I won't be moved by sympathy, no matter who you bring into this confrontation.
Liara's here because she wants to be, not because I asked her to.
Indeed. What have you told her about me, Liara?
What could I say, Mother? That you're insane? Evil? Should I explain how to kill you? What could I say?
Have you faced an Asari commando unit before? Few humans have.
I think it's funny how, like, I'm the only human. I mean, I'm sure Asari have fought other Asari, and Turians probably have fought Asari, especially Asari commandos, and doing sketchy stuff.
There's obviously no peaceful way to settle this.
Indeed.
I hate biotics. Or, I hate fighting biotics. And what's worse than biotics? Biotics with guns. So the last thing I'm going to talk about with the Normandy is the ship itself, like physically, the ship. It's a spaceship, right? There's way too much empty, wasted space inside the spaceship. Why are there stairs when they can have ladders? There's no such thing as surplus space inside a ship. Like, even going back to my submarines as an example. You ever watch any submarine movies? Hunt of the Red October, U-571, Das Boot. Oh, there's another one. Crimson Tide. That one. There we go. Submarine movies. You kind of get a feel what it looks like inside a submarine. They don't have stairs. They have ladders. Bathrooms are smaller than you find on an airplane. So on and so forth. Sorry, I'm busy fighting. Those shields out of my way. Shoot at me. I'll shoot back. So personally, that's probably my single greatest complaint about the Normandy. You know, all the other stuff, I'm not saying it's good, but it's kind of needed for regular science fiction.
Unstoppable. My mind is filled with his light. Everything is clear.
Despite faster than light travel not being possible, almost all science fiction has FTL and energy shields. And as I already mentioned, you know, most, if not all, science fiction franchises have some stealth ship, even though it's not a thing, it can't be done. Not without, you know, vast technological differences. But, you know, all of those things are normal. That's par for the course, and I don't hold it in any way against Mass Effect. As I said, Mass Effect is one of my favorite science fiction / game franchises.
Start talking, Venezia. What's Saren's next move?
I will not betray him. You will. You must listen. Saren still whispers in my mind. I can fight his compulsions briefly, but the indoctrination is strong.
We met Shiala on Theros. She told us about Sovereign's indoctrination.
It is a terror to be trapped in your mind, to beat upon the glass as your hands torture and murder. I was powerless, nothing but a tool for Saren. He sent me here to find the location of the Mu relay. Its position was lost thousands of years ago.
Someone on Noveria found it?
2,000 years ago, the Rachni inhabited that region of our galaxy. They discovered the relay. The Rachni can share memories across generations. Queens inherit the knowledge of their mothers. I took the location of the relay from the Queen's mind. I was not gentle.
You have to give me the location.
I transcribed the data to an OSD. Take it, please. There isn't much time. I transmitted the coordinates to Saren before you arrived. You have to stop me. I can't. His teeth are at my ear. Fingers.
I always thought this line was a little excessively poetic.
Oh, you should.
Mother, don't leave. Fight him.
And
You've always made me proud,
her body wasn't quite expressive enough to go with her voice there for that, don't leave me, mother.
Die.
Ow. But she's indoctrinated. Does that work? No, guess not. Just gonna stand there? Not do anything? I mean, I'm not gonna let your shields recharge. So let's get this over with.
I cannot go on. You will have to stop him, Shepard. Hold on. We've got Metagel. Maybe we can... No. He is still in my mind. I am not entirely myself. I never will be again.
Why would you
Mother.
wear... I'm just looking at her headdress thing.
I will see you again with the dawn.
Why would you wear that? What was the point?
No light. They always said there would be a...
Anyway. All the other things I complained about earlier are, generally speaking, par for the course as far as science fiction goes. And I don't hold them against them. There's nothing wrong with it. I love Mass Effect. My biggest complaint is the ship has so much wasted space. If you go scroll through the Wikipedia, the Mass Effect Wikipedia entry on the SSV Normandy, it literally says that it is larger on the inside, and not as a Doctor Who reference, but that the spaces inside the ship for you to walk around on are actually larger than the outside of the model for the ship. Alright, end rant.
One serves as our voice. We cannot sing. Not in these low spaces. Your musics are colorless.
This is my whole bit on that specific spaceship, and it's going to apply broadly to spaceships in general throughout the franchise. I'm just using the Normandy as an example since it's, the most obvious, well-known, maybe aside from the Destiny Ascension. It's one of the most well-known ships in the franchise. Now, let's get this over with. I don't want to interrupt this nice bit of lore / world building.
Who am I speaking to here?
We are the mother. We sing for those left behind. The children you thought silenced. We are Rachni.
How are you speaking through her?
Our kind sing through touchings of thought. We pluck the strings, and the other understands. She is weak to urging. She has colors we have no names for. But she is ending. Her music is bittersweet. It is beautiful.
So
You
Rachni
are not
are psychic.
in harmony with those who hoped to control us. What will you sing? Will you release us? Are we to fade away once more?
The Rachni were a threat to the galaxy. Those tanks are filled with acid. If she gets out of hand, they dissolve her.
They made a mistake. They let the Krogan go too far. This is a chance for us to atone. She has done nothing to us.
Your companions hear the truth. You have the power to free us, or return our people to the silence of memory.
You could have calmed them if I hadn't set off the purge?
No, our minds are not as yours. We can only learn to sing in harmony. Without a mother, children are lost to silence. You should not sing of them in gray and violet. We would have stilled them ourselves.
If I let you live, would you attack other races again?
No, I do not know what happened in the war. We only heard discordance, songs the color of oily shadows. We would seek a hidden place to teach our children harmony. If they understand, perhaps we would return.
Okay, two things here. One, Lydia, my character that I'm projecting here. Due to events in my book series, she's not going to have any sympathy for aliens, and wouldn't have even had this discussion. As soon as Garrus was like, hey, there's acid, she's like, alright, throw the switch, problem solved. But, because I've played the game before, and I know what happens, how things work out, and how I want things to work out, I'm not gonna do that.
I won't destroy your entire race. You'll go free.
You will give us the chance to compose anew. We will remember. We will sing of your forgiveness to our children.
Then we can always just blame the Rachni's escape on binary helix. After all, the aliens escaped because of binary helix. I guess Psychic Rachni on top of that would be able to communicate with the Asari, since the Asari do that whole mind meld thing. Which now brings me to the question, could the Asari reproduce with the Rachni? Supposedly they claim any gender of any species. Alright. I'm going to save again. I know I do that a lot. But this has now drug on for more than an hour. We're pushing an hour and 10 minutes. And I did a lot of talking, and I'm sure some of it sounded harsh, but I don't intend it in a harsh way. Fact is fact. That's just how physics and spaceships work. But now we're done with Noveria. Gee, I wonder what'll happen next. Who knows? It's Mass Effect. Anything could happen. Let's see you guys in the next one.